Hello and welcome back to my channel. For today's video I have these green and gold earrings and with some pearl detailing or pearl dangles. So let's go ahead and see how to make them. So the materials required are some cutting pliers, chain nose plier, round nose plier, these ball pins that are double-ended, you can take single-ended ones, gold wire in 0.8 mm, and next I have some pearl laurels. So you can either make some pearl laurels at home or you can buy these ready-made at any shop. Then we have some gold chain, you can use any gold chain that you have. Next are some green tumble beads. So these are a beautiful emerald green color. Now for the first step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our 0.8 mm wire and I'm going to just open it and cut a long strip of it, and I'm going to just use my cutting pliers and cut about like 4 to 5 inches of this wire, and then we'll move on to our next step. Also what I've done is I've taken that long piece of wire, cut it into 2 halves, and I've just straightened it using a pair of chain nose pliers, and then we're going to start our next process. So for our next process, what we're going to do is we're going to take our tumble beads, or you can use whatever beads that you have. You can just lay them out, because these beads are usually irregular in shape, so you have to pick and choose what size and shapes you want. So just pick them out and lay them out like I have in so I'm taking 5 beads per earring, so both the sides have 5, so there are 10 totally, and I'm going to just lay it out. After that, I'm adding my pearl laurels in between every tumble bead that'll go on a wire, and we will just lay that out and move on to our next step. Now I'm going to take my ball pins. I've cut it into half because mine were double-ended. So I'm taking these golden tiny beads that I have. You can take any other color also, and that's been mainly because the holes on our tumble beads are quite big and they might just slip off the end of our head pin, so this will prevent that from happening. After that, we're just going to make a basic wrap loop on top. If you want a separate video on the wrap loop, I'll do that in another video. Now you can see I've just used the excess piece of wire and wrapped it on top of our bead, and that's it. So we're going to repeat the same step for all of our tumble beads, and then we'll move on to our next step. one of the materials I forgot to mention before are 0.4 mm of craft wire. So I'm using 0.4 mm gold craft wire. This will be used for wire wrapping our beads onto the 0.8 mm wire. So we'll just take a long piece of this out, cut it, and we'll use it to wire wrap our beads onto our other wire. Now we're just taking both our pieces of wire. Using a pair of chain nose pliers, I'm going to hold both the wires together in on one side. So just use a plier, because otherwise the wire has a blunt edge, so it might just poke your skin and you won't be able to hold it for long. So using our chain nose pliers, I'm just going to hold it in place, and then I'm going to move on to our wire wrapping. For our wire wrapping, basically we're just going to move our craft wire, the thinner one, 0.4 mm, around our thicker wire. So I'm going to wrap that wire 3 or 4 times, and the first bead we're going to put on are the pearl laurels. So we'll slip 2 pearl laurels in between those beads. Then we'll do our tumble, then the pearl laurels, then the tumble. So basically an alternating method until all of our beads that we've laid out are on our piece of wire. So wire wrapping is might take some time, but after that we'll move on to a next step. now you can see that the wire wrapping is complete. All the beads have been added to a 0.8 mm wire using the wire wrapping technique. After that, I'm going to just cut off the excess on the other side, and we're going to just make a basic loop on it, and then we'll do the same process on the next side of a earring, and we'll finish it off after the next side is also complete. So just cut the excess and make a loop. See, both sides of a earring are ready, and what I'm doing basically here is I'm going to just lay them upon each other, and I'm going to see the length of both the earrings. You should make sure that both the lengths are exactly the same. So I've just used the previous earring as a guide, and I've cut off the excess, and I'm making the loop for the other side, and then we'll move on to finishing our earrings in the next step. Also, another thing that I'm doing for our earring is that I'm going to just press and like make a earring into a U shape rather than a straight line. So I'm just going to press and bend it until it forms a U shape, and then we'll move on to our next step. Now for the next step, what we require is our gold chain. So we're going to take our gold chain and cut equal lengths of it. So I cut my gold chain counting the links on the gold chain. So I'm going to count until whatever length I think is sufficient. So I'm keeping it pretty long because I want our earrings to be a long hanging. So I'm going to cut equal lengths for both our sides of a earring. After cutting that, we'll move on to our next step. Now you can see that I've cut equal lengths of the chain. Now I'm going to just open the loop on our earring, the one that we made. Then we're going to attach our chain link onto that loop and then close our loop. So that's it. You're going to just attach our chain to our earring, and then we'll move on to our next step. After we have attached our chain to the main earring, what we're going to do is, using a jump ring, a gold jump ring, we're going to just open it and attach the open ends of our chain on either sides, and we're going to close it. So just take our jump ring, open it, put our chains into it, and then we'll close the jump ring. And now we'll move on to our last and final step. on to our last step, that is we're going to use our ear hooks or ear wire, and we're going to just open the loop and attach it to the jump ring that we attached to the top of our earring. So we're going to open our loop on the ear wire and then attach our jump ring and then close it. After this, our earring is ready to wear. So I hope you all found this tutorial easy, and if you have any doubts or anything else that I missed out, you can let me know in the comments below. Also, if you make these earrings, please share them with me on my Instagram, and if there's something else that you want to see on my channel, please let me know, and please like, share and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.